Hello, and welcome to this brief video prepared for the centennial celebration of the village of North Chevy Chase, located in Montgomery County, Maryland. As many of you know, the village of North Chevy Chase was established 100 years ago in 1924 when it was recognized as a special tax district. Among the 5 residents of North Chevy Chase voted to serve in the first council to manage village affairs was Richard Henry Gangwish, listed here in the 1930 census. His residence was 9203 Connecticut Avenue, which is this lovely home in the village of North Chevy Chase that is now located at 8819 Kensington Parkway. The home hasn't moved, it's just that the house number and street name have changed since around the 1940s. In this video, I'd like to share some interesting information on the Gangwish family, the early days of the village council, and a bit on the Christian Heurich Brewing Company, where Richard Gangwish worked as the general manager. Let me first orient you to the initial North Chevy Chase neighborhood using 2 maps provided by the Chevy Chase Historical Society in our research of North Chevy Chase. This land was purchased in 1893 by Redford Walker and his son Henry and subdivided in 1897 into 9 separate blocks with a few streets separating them. Just to orient you, you can see Kensington Parkway, which was initially called Connecticut Avenue, Montrose Driveway, Kenilworth Driveway, Inverness Driveway, and Montgomery Avenue. Let's focus in on Block 2, which you can see in this map from 1931, already with some of the first homes built in the village of North Chevy Chase. We're going to focus specifically on the home located in lot number 3 of Block 2, located on Kensington Parkway, formerly Connecticut Avenue, between Kenilworth Drive and Montrose Drive. Richard Gangwish and his family purchased this home in October 1920 and owned it until a few months after Richard Gangwish's death, when his daughter, Mary Kenworthy, sold it to the Pendleton family in April 1946. When Redford Walker developed North Chevy Chase, Francis Newlands developed Chevy Chase, Bernard Warner developed Kensington, there were no statutes regulating lot size or street width and grading, for example. Development in Montgomery County was unregulated. Developers were responsible for streets, sewers, water, gas lines, and other services, as you can see in these ads posted by Redford Walker and his son, William Henry Walker. They mentioned the services provided in North Chevy Chase: water, sewers, street lighting, paved streets, sidewalks, and electricity. Despite all the development in Montgomery County in the early 1900s, it was predominantly rural farmland. To meet resident needs for services in these developments and avoid taxing rural landowners for services primarily benefiting these developments, Montgomery County commissioners decided to create special tax districts to localize the cost of additional services. Between 1914 and 1924, 11 special tax districts were established, including one here in North Chevy Chase, as you can see in these newspaper articles from 1924. With the Bill of Maryland Assembly approved on April 9, 1924, establishing North Chevy Chase as a special tax district, the Citizens Committee convened and elected Richard Gangwish, Vaughn Boley, Alfred Berman, William Lanning, and Robert Simpson as council members. Gangwish received the largest number of votes and was therefore selected as chairman. To meet resident needs for fire safety, street lighting, waste management, and other services, the council's initial work entailed selecting a bank to deposit village funds, setting the tax rate, establishing a meeting schedule, identifying a building inspector for the permitting of construction, trash pickup, and street lighting. If you attend current village council meetings, you will know that many of these topics are still discussed regularly. We may not have to deal with roaming horses and tall grasses that pose a fire risk, but we certainly still discuss permits, waste management, and street lighting on a regular basis, 100 years later. Richard Gangwish had 5 children, 1 boy and 4 girls, one of whom married in the garden of 8819 Kensington Parkway in June of 1924, just a few months after the village was established as a special tax district. Another daughter, Hilda, married just prior to the Gangwish's move to North Chevy Chase, as you can see here in these Washington Post notices from June 28, 1918 and July 7, 1918. Robert Gangwish was the general manager of the Christian Heurich Brewing Company based here in Washington, D.C., which produced Senate beer and ale, among other products. I should actually say that it was an award-winning beer since Senate Beer won a silver medal in the 1900s Paris World's Fair and gold medals in the Liège World's Fair in 1905 and the Jamestown Exposition in 1907. It also seemed to get the thumbs up from doctors, as you can see from this article in the Washington Post in June of 1901. The Christian Heurich Brewing Company was located where the Kennedy Center currently stands in Foggy Bottom. In the early 1900s, it was DC's largest private employer, and this brewing plant was the largest in the region. During the Prohibition era from 1917 to 1933, the Christian Heurich Brewing Company stopped production in the brewing plant and focused instead on ice plant operations to stay open. The brewing plant reopened at the end of the Prohibition era in 1933 and began producing its pre-war brews. Of all of them, Senate Beer was the most popular, as you can see in these ads from the Evening Star in June 1940 and May 1943. If you're interested in trying Senate Beer, you can still do that today. You can find it at Foxtrot, Safeway, Balducci's, and even Total Wine and more. Just Google it and you'll see. You can also enjoy it at the Beer Garden at Christian Heurich's beautiful home that still stands today just off of DuPont Circle. I hope you've enjoyed learning about 8819 Kensington Parkway, the Gangwish family, the early days of the Village Council, and the Christian Heurich Brewing Company, where Richard Gangwish worked as the general manager. Please consider viewing all of the videos prepared for the Centennial Celebration to learn more about the village of North Chevy Chase and its history from the early 1900s to today, 2024.